Hey everybody, Madison here with Health by Ratio, and in this video we are going to talk about one of the most important concepts when it comes to injury prevention, achieving your fitness goals or athletic goals, and maintaining those, and it's called the joint by joint theory. Health by Ratio is an online program consisting of licensed physical therapists, corrective exercise specialists, and orthopedic movement specialists that work together to create holistic programs for our clients to get them out of recurring and chronic pains and injuries and progress them towards the active lives that they love to live. So the joint by joint theory was invented by these two guys, a strength and conditioning coach, Mike Boyle, and a physical therapist named Gray Cook. And their concept is, or their, I should say, their theory has revolutionized how we look at the body as a movement, in a holistic movement type mechanism, as opposed to a bag of individual parts. And it's a fairly simple concept to get, but it is mind-blowing in the implications that it has on the body. So the joint by joint theory is basically saying that every other significant joint, and some of them we're going to talk about as groups of joints, but every other significant area of the body is going to alternate between having the need to be mobile, relatively speaking, and having the need to be stable, relatively speaking. Now, every joint we need to be mobile to a certain extent in certain directions, and I should say practically every joint we also need to be stable to a certain extent. But some need more mobility and some need more stability to keep themselves healthy. So how this breaks down is, if we started off at the feet, we want this to be relatively stable. The ankle, which is a multiplanar joint that goes all over the place, we want that to be mobile. The knee itself, we want that to be stable. We just want it moving forward, backward. We don't want it going all over the place. The hip, we want that to be mobile. We want to move all over the place with the hip. The lumbar spine, we want this to be stable. We don't want to be moving around the lumbar like crazy. We want our core to stabilize that area of the body. The thoracic spine, though, the mid-back, we want that to be mobile. We want to be able to extend and bend and twist and do all kinds of things in the thoracic spine. The scapulas, the shoulder blades themselves, we want that to be stable. We want them to be in a good neutral position for our posture. We don't want to be winging out our scapulas or having one up and shrugging up toward our shoulders and kinking up our neck, that kind of thing. So I want the scapulas to be stable. The shoulder joint itself, the glenohumeral joint, we want that, again, like the ankles and the hips, this is a multiplanar joint. We want this to be mobile, to have great range of motion. Then going up to the neck, we would like that to be stable, stacked in position where we want. Now, we could also travel down the arm. The shoulder, mobile. Elbow, we want relatively stable, and wrist, we want mobile again. So that's the breakdown of what the joint by joint theory is. It's stable, mobile, all the way up throughout the body. Well, how does this impact us? How does it change the way we train or the way that we prepare the body for our favorite activities and the lives that we love to live? Well, now this implication of every other area of the body needing that stability or mobility is where this joint by joint theory gets a little bit more complex, for lack of a better term, but in a fun way. Because if we have something in this chain that isn't doing what it's supposed to be doing, let's say my ankle no longer has the range of motion that I want it to, well, that means that something is going to get impacted. Sometimes it's the ankle itself. I lock up my ankle or my hip is all locked up. That's the thing that's talking to me. It gets hurt. I get a tear. I get a sprain. I get something like that. But very often it also is impacting other areas of the body. And it doesn't have to be on the same side. My right ankle can impact how my left leg is landing, and that can impact my left knee or my left foot or my left hip or whatever. So when we have an issue where one of our joints that's supposed to be mobile is now lacking its mobility, that means that often one of the joints that doesn't want to be so mobile has to try to overcompensate. For instance, it could be my knee. It could also travel up a couple of levels up to the kinetic chain. It could be my lower back that starts moving more frequently because of my ankles. An example of that would be when I squat. If, for instance, I'm not able to load into my ankles very well as I squat down, and I have to keep my shins more vertical, not out of choice, but out of like because I'm always lacking mobility there, then I'm going to potentially cause my lower back to round more as I get towards the bottom of a chair as I'm squatting. Obviously, I'm over exaggerating that. Not too many people are squatting that way, but it can be very subtle positions, though, that add up over time because we do things like squatting or lunging or walking. We do some of these things dozens, if not thousands, if not tens of thousands of times a day. So little tweaks here and there due to one ankle not having the mobility that we want, or one hip or both hips not having the mobility we want in one of the directions, then that can be where the true root causes of our injuries lie, or our tweaks, our pains lie, and it doesn't have to be necessarily with the actual injured area of the body. As a matter of fact, most of the time, from the clients that we work with, especially those that have like injuries and tweaks that have occurred over the activities, over the years that they've done something. Or another example would be they had an impact that hurt them, say 15, 20 years ago, they got into a major car accident and it injured them, or they went through like a skiing accident, they had a surgery or whatever. And since they haven't been able to heal and they're still dealing with recurring challenges around this injury, well, that's because since that injury, there have been compensations that have occurred. Some areas of the body that are supposed to be stable aren't stable anymore. They're way too mobile. They're moving all over the place when we don't want them to. There's certain areas that have locked up where we want them to be more mobile, maybe scar tissues around them. Maybe for instance, overuse, like we've just done a repetitive motion so many times over and over and over again playing tennis or whatever, that it's caused one hip to get really tight in one direction and the other hip to get tight in the opposite direction. And now all of a sudden we get this asymmetrical pull, and that's impacting the potential of the entire body. And so it really doesn't matter where our pain is showing up. If we see these kinds of imbalances anywhere in the body, we need to treat the whole body holistically and address the whole thing from head to toe. It doesn't have to take us forever. We can break it up into 10, 20 minutes a day. But if we do just a little bit of mobility work and a little bit of stability work to this entire body over the course of a week, then we can start making some major strides in getting this body moving back to full ranges of stable motion. That not only allows us to heal and prevent future injuries, but it allows us to also perform optimally, because the better our body moves, the more efficient it is, the more efficient it's using the power that it already has. I don't have to develop more leg strength necessarily if I want to jump higher or if I want to run faster or further. All I need to do is get my body moving as efficiently as it can, and then it can use what I already got as well as it possibly can. And that's why so many of like our runners who actually spend the time to correct this joint by joint theory and get themselves moving towards full ranges of stable motion without even spending tons of time doing pushing their body to the limits, because normally they're getting in some good workouts, but they're focusing a lot for a short period of time on correcting their body. So they might be getting in some runs, but they're also spending a good amount of time on some mobility work, 10, 15 minutes a day, or some stability work. So the point is that they're treating their body a little bit more holistically, not just trying to run harder or run longer, but yet they find after a month or two that they're running with faster splits. They're cutting off 30, 60, sometimes 90 plus seconds off of each mile just because their body's running that much more efficiently. Now, obviously, this is applicable to anything in our life. It can be applicable to us just wanting to work out and being able to move our weights or our bodies efficiently and effectively, and getting in killer workouts while we are stabilizing ourselves well. It can be in a sport and wanting to move as quickly and as efficiently as possible around the court or on the field, and anywhere in between. But this joint by joint theory from Mike Boyle and Gray Cook was massively has been a massive game changer in how we look at the body as a holistic picture and getting ourselves moving towards our true health and fitness goals. If you guys have any questions on this, or you want some help in understanding like where are my potential imbalances up this joint by joint theory, that's what my team and I do, and we do it for free. We offer 2 free calls for everybody. The first call is just over the phone. It's a quick call to get to know you more on what your body's been through, what your goals are, all that good stuff. And then the second call is done with yours truly. We connect over a video assessment and we go through a number of functional patterns that you do day by day. And then we break down the ranges of motion on each joint to see where there's any potential imbalances coming from. And then on that call, create a game plan with you and saying, all right, so here's what's going on with that right ankle or that left hip or that right shoulder that's impacting X, Y, and Z. So here's the specific stretches or mobility techniques and or exercise that you need to do to get to your goals. If you're interested in that, click below the link below this video where you can have find access to our calendar. You can pick a day or time that works best for you. And as always, if you have any questions, also feel free to just leave them in the comments. Subscribe to our channel so you get future updates and all that good stuff. Talk to you soon.